We're live. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I would say a special episode. Alistair McKenzie, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time we won a derby with the Lazio Lounge going on.
You're right, actually. Yeah. Well, there you go, special occasion. I mean, they've taken their time about it, but I think it was worth the wait. Absolutely buzzing for this episode. Definitely ready to go.
I started thinking after Caicedo scored and I said, no, I don't have to think because Roma's going to score after that for sure. So I start thinking about other things, but, you know, after all, we won 3-0. 3-0. Incredible. The last three matches Lazio play, no goals. And all three comes together in the derby. I think, is it perfect? I don't know, but I'll take it.
I think, considering our expectations going into this, and I don't mean even just us, but Lazio fans in general, versus what we saw, I think this is the best possible outcome, isn't it? I mean, did anyone see this coming? But going through I did a piece yesterday talking about kind of the talking points for Lazio before this game, and it was all about, you know, the team's not scoring, the defence has had an injury crisis, Inzaghi's under a bit of pressure, and just everything went right. You know, it's one of these magical nights where pretty much everything went well for Lazio tonight, and I think there's going to be a lot of lazy people out there who are just going to try and put it down to Roma missing Manolas, which is far too simplified a version of events, but Lazio, that's the best performance of the season in my eyes. It's the most complete, the most mature performance Lazio have produced, and suddenly they're this really clinical team because it didn't actually create that many chances tonight and end up with a 3-0 win. It's just completely different from anything else we've seen recently, I suppose. I'm still recovering. I know we're about an hour after full time, but I'm still absolutely taken aback by the whole thing.
Yeah, when I presented the match, there were two considerations. The first one is Roma is a team that allowed like 70 goals in the last 4 or 5 matches. It's true that 7 was against Fiorentina in one single match, but it's a team that allows a lot of goals. But on the other side, Lazio didn't score a single goal in 3 matches, and they didn't play against Juventus. So I thought that was the key of the match, and I want to hear all our fans what they're thinking about. When I saw the starting 11 Inzaghi picked, I said, okay, we're gonna lose this match because I was concerned. There were rumors already this morning that Immobile would have started because he wasn't fit, but I think we were all hoping to see Romulo play instead of Marusic, and instead we saw Marusic playing. And then the fact that Inzaghi picked a very offensive team. There were Luis Alberto, Milinkovic-Savic, Correa and Caicedo all playing together. That was a huge risk, but we have to say that tonight Inzaghi did everything right.
Yeah, and in difficult circumstances. I mean, it's not only that this performance has come out of nowhere, but it's that we've done it without Immobile leading the attack, and that's been the one kind of ever-present thing that we've relied upon to be the focal point of everything we're doing going forward. And I mean, I'm sure we're going to get round to talking about all the various parts of the team. But Caicedo came in, did a job, and Correa did a job. The defense did their job. I mean, it's one of these games basically where almost you can't really fault anyone in the team. I mean, everybody played to their level, and to win these matches, you need I suppose, a number of things to go your way. But above all, you need to have show the right character and the right determination. And I remember after the last derby, that was something we were really lamenting that Lazio were missing in that game compared to Roma was that kind of desire, that derby mentality, that grinta that you want from these games. But I think tonight it was the complete opposite, and to come away with a 3-0 win is an unbelievable result. It's a result that's only ever been achieved once before in Lazio's history in this fixture. To put this in context, how good a result this is. And not only that, but something else I pointed out on Twitter just before we came on is that we don't know yet if this will be significant or not, but it does mean that we now go ahead of Roma on head-to-head in the table, having got this result, which, given how close we are to them, given the fact that if we win our game in hand, we go level on points with them, it could still be significant between now and the end of the season. And we know how it felt last year to come below Inter because of our head-to-head record. So there's just so much good stuff coming out of this result.
Well, absolutely. I thought that, as you were saying, everybody played well, but I don't know if how can I say it? I mean, we were scared about Roma, but Roma is a defense that was terrible. And you were saying about Manolas, the absence of Manolas. Yes, that changed things because every time Correa was running with the ball, they were struggling. They were really in big problems. So yeah, probably the absence of Manolas was huge. But it was good to see finally the team fighting all together. That was one of the biggest difference compared to the other derbies. You know, when Roma had the first chance in the first half, I said, okay, now we're gonna see if Lazio really is up to it or they're gonna collapse like in the other derby, and they didn't, and that was very positive.
Yeah, exactly. And even looking at throughout the game as a whole, it's not even like there's been many points where Roma have applied a lot of pressure. We really restricted Roma to creating very few good chances in that game. Their one outstanding chance was the one Pastore had, which he should have scored. But other than that, there's a lot of pop shots from distance. Strakosha's made some good saves, but I wouldn't say any spectacular saves. And yeah, you know, it's really built on that performance against Milan on Tuesday, where again it's another one of our top four competitors, and we've restricted them to basically nothing going forward. And I think defensively, what we've seen to get 2 clean sheets in these 2 games. I said at the start of the week after our Sevilla podcast going out last week, this was an absolutely crucial week, and I'm absolutely astounded by the way it's gone. I mean, I knew that it was absolutely essential for us to get results in these games, particularly this one, but I really didn't expect this. 2 clean sheets, a 3-0 win over Roma, and outplaying Milan despite failing to take the chances. I mean, it's put us in a good place, and I saw Immobile already said after the game that it's going to do a lot for the team's confidence, and I really hope it does, because a result like this should give this team belief, and it's finally shaking off. Don't forget that big team hoodoo that we've had all season where we've failed to win any of the big games. So yeah, I mean, it does feel like a bit of a turning point in my mind, this performance.
Yes, and as Acerbi tweeted, it was a team effort, the while Lazio won. But the thing, Alistair, was that in the first half. Okay, so it's a derby, so you're always concerned, etc. But if you view the match in a clinical point of view, Roma in the first half didn't create nothing. You can say that Lazio didn't have that many chances, but it was a one-side match, and probably without Casado and with a good Immobile there, maybe Lazio could have scored another goal in the first half. And it was good to see, and I thought that was one of the key of the match. Lazio pressing so high. It never happened in the past. We saw finally Lazio pressing the Roma defenders, and they struggled to pass the ball, and Lazio was often recovering the ball very high, and that's very dangerous. So that's something that Inzaghi prepared for this match, and it was working really well. And as you were saying, Roma had the beginning of the second half where they start playing well, and they had a couple of chances one after the other one. And there was probably the turning point. If Roma scored there, then you never know how the match finished. But they didn't, and Lazio immediately scored back, and that was the end of the match.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, after going in front, I don't think any of us were probably feeling that comfortable about it. But I think Lazio managed, like you said, managed the game really well. The periods where there was some pressure from Roma, they managed to stay defensively structured enough to withstand the pressure. And then the way that it was the penalty that turned the game. And the way that came about was from very good decision making on the counter attack. And Immobile was obviously dropped to the bench for this game because he wasn't considered fit enough to start, and that's a talking point in itself. But his assist for Correa was perfect. He put it into a space where he knew that Fazio is not only slower than Correa, but he is on a yellow card, and or was it Jesus? I can't remember. And basically, that he's putting Correa into a position where he's saying, well, if you beat him to that, then we're in a good position. Either he's 1-on-1 with the keeper, or he's in the box, and that's how we win the penalty. And so I think that kind of decision making is the kind of thing that's been lacking in the performances recently, is to be in those positions and then actually manage to turn them into these goal scoring situations. And obviously, once the penalty goes in, you've got 15 minutes left to go. We've seen some pretty bleak moments in the last year or so, and so I wouldn't say that I was completely confident about it at that stage, but it does definitely put you in a good position. And yeah, I just think not only in that moment, but throughout the game, there was just good decision making, playing it safe when we needed to, relieving pressure when we needed to, and yeah, just throughout the team. I'm kind of, it's a bad thing to say on a podcast, but I'm a bit lost for words about it, because it's so been very different from what we've seen so far, and that kind of surprised me.
Can I say something? And I thought that there's where Di Francesco lost the match and Inzaghi won it. Lazio was still one up, while Di Francesco decided to take off De Rossi, that was the only central midfielder who was defending, and put in Javier Pastore. Roma was already playing with a 4-3-3, that is an offensive tactic, and he decided to take off the only midfielder that was able to defend and put Pastore, that everybody knows is an offensive midfielder, if he's still considered a midfielder. And I thought there's where Di Francesco lost the match. Immediately afterwards, 5 minutes afterwards, Lazio had this counter-attack. You were talking about the perfect ball Immobile put, but there were no midfielder tracking back and trying to help the defense because De Rossi wasn't there. And it's 1-0, it's 65 minutes. You have plenty of time to recover. You don't have to go in desperate mode. Instead, I thought Di Francesco made a terrible mistake, and that's why Lazio won so easily afterwards, because Roma was out of balance, and Pastore is a terrible player these days. He's not even the brother of the player we saw in Palermo a lot of years ago. He's a ghost, I would say. So that substitution didn't make any sense and help us.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I remember seeing that substitution coming on and just thinking it reminded me of, if you've ever played FIFA or Football Manager, one of these kind of video games, football video games, where basically if you're in desperate times, you just chuck on attacking players for defensive players. And obviously football is, as a real sport, is a bit more complicated than that. But it did seem like that's what he was doing, was essentially just saying, right, well, I need a goal here. Let's throw in Pastore De Rossi, and particularly because I've watched quite a lot of Roma this season, and De Rossi is so important to anchoring that midfield. And when it's not him, it's got to be Nzonzi. Really, they do need one of those two doing that job, because especially when they've got those two centre backs tonight without Manolas, who are very fragile, then they're just not going to be capable of doing it. So yeah, I think Di Francesco, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a lot of flack. He will do, because that's what happens anyway with Roma. Is every single time they lose a game is a crisis. But so it will turn into something like that. But I think that it's not enough to say that in itself is a moment that Lazio can just go on and win the game. Lazio still have to be intelligent enough to know how to exploit the weakness that he's left in that midfield, and I think they managed to do that by playing the way they did, and by structuring that attack, like I said, with Immobile launching the counter attack. I think that it was just again a lot of good decision making from the team tonight, which has been different.
After tonight, how many of you are happy that Brian Cristante went to Roma, not to Lazio? Today he was invisible, and thinking how much Lazio would have paid him. It's not worthy. He's terrible. No, terrible is too harsh, but he didn't do nothing. You wouldn't swap him with Parolo. Really, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but terrible season for him. So yeah, I'm happy he went to Roma.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bit odd what Roma have done with him in a way, though, because he played in a more attacking role while he's at Atalanta, and then at Roma he's been kind of transformed into more of a sitting midfielder, which I don't think really plays to his strengths. But anyway, that's a different conversation. But yeah, I think that bringing it back to Inzaghi, I think that he made his substitutions well tonight at the right times. 2 of his 3 substitutions scored, which is always a good sign. Immobile set up the penalty and then scored it himself, and then obviously Cataldi at the end. But also the ability to bring on a guy like Parolo, that was a well-timed substitution, I thought, because Alberto started the game really well, but he kind of faded a bit as it went on, which actually I think tends to happen with him quite a lot anyway this season. But as the game goes on and you're going under a bit more pressure, it's who better is there really than Marco Parolo, because you can put on a guy who's not only got immense experience, but who's just not going to stop running, and he has this incredible engine anyway. But if he's fresher than everyone else, then you know that he's going to put in the yards. So yeah, I think that Inzaghi really had a great game, and I hope he's kind of changed some people's minds about him, because I know some people are getting a bit frustrated by him this season, and his inability to change formation and sticking with the same players and all these things. But yeah, I think tonight he kind of reminded us why he's been doing that, because in his mind anyway, this performance from Lazio, this is with the 3-5-2. This is with more or less the same team you'd expect. And so this is a kind of reminder of what he's been going for this whole time, I suppose, is that Lazio are capable of playing this way with these players. It's just about delivering.
A couple of things that I wanted to say. First, again, Luis Alberto has been substituted, and you can see that he was walking out and was really upset. I didn't understand what he was saying to Simone Inzaghi when he was going out, but then you saw him that after Immobile scored the penalty, was running under the Curva Nord and celebrate. So it didn't last long. And the other thing is, okay, in this podcast we talk about Marusic and blame Marusic for a lot of things. And I don't know you, I was concerned to seeing Marusic start tonight, but I thought it was the perfect move because with his body, his physique, it's big enough, and he was able to stop Kolarov, that it's a big player, and I think he's one of the key of Roma. He's, I don't want to say the playmaker, but pretty much all the chances Roma produce are coming from Kolarov. And so having Marusic on that side, I think helped to stop him. Romolo maybe is faster, but would have problems to stop Kolarov because he's so powerful, while Marusic has the same power of Kolarov. And you could see that Roma was less dangerous on that side thanks to Marusic. So, I thought again that was a perfect move from Simone Inzaghi. At the beginning I was really concerned, but afterwards we can say that probably is one of the reasons why Lazio won the derby.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't really fault any of his selection in the end because, like I say, the way he brought on Immobile to good effect, he knew how many minutes he could get out of him, or they decided that together, and Immobile was capable of making an impact in that time. The other subs have gone through already, but Bastos had a great game. I mean, it was one of the other kind of unknowns, I suppose, going into it was whether it be Bastos or Patrick. Bastos had a really good game.
Incredible, really.
He's one of these guys that not to repeat ourselves too much, but you just never really know what you're going to get from him. And it was another one of those nights. But I think nights like this where it's more about the one-on-one battles, when it's about if it's about a kind of battle of speed and physicality, Bastos does really well in those situations. It's more when it's about Lazio controlling the game and you're wanting to play out from the back and construct moves. He's not so good at that. With his feet as a technical player, he's not particularly gifted. I think we can all agree on that. But he does. There was one great example of this tonight, actually, where he tried to make a clearance. I think it was in the first half, and he completely missed it. But then, it was embarrassing for him. But then he had enough pace and enough, I suppose, positional awareness to be able to get back into position and win the ball back cleanly immediately after making that mistake. So, yeah, that's what he can do. And he's had some great games, for Lazio. We shouldn't forget that. It's just that when he makes mistakes, they're very bad ones on the whole. But, yeah, Bastos deserves a lot of credit coming back into the team after an injury and playing to this level.
And let's not forget that he was on the side of El Shaarawy, that probably it's the most dangerous Roma player now. He scored a lot in the last matches, made assists. He's probably the most dangerous attacker of Roma, and he didn't do nothing tonight. El Shaarawy was pretty much invisible, all thanks to Bastos. His power blocked El Shaarawy. I think had just a chance in the second half, but apart from that, Bastos have been great. And as I often said about Wallace, it's a little bit the same with Bastos. He's very dangerous when he has the ball on his feet, but when the ball is on the feet of the other player, he's quite good. And today he was incredibly good defending. So, yeah, even Radu made a amazing performance today. Had a amazing performance. In the meantime, the doctor Fabio Rodia spoke and said that Ciro was only tired, so they prefer not to make him play 90 minutes. While Strakosha, they think it's nothing serious, but they will be monitoring him in the next days. So, nothing bad.
Would you say that this is the first choice defence for you now? Bastos, Acerbi, Radu? Or would you still want Felipe or Wallace ahead of Bastos?
Well, I think Inzaghi goes deciding the team based on the performance. And after this performance of Bastos, not only today, but even in the last matches, Bastos was playing really well. So I think now he should be starting. But so yeah, I would pick this one. I'm always very interested in Ramos, so I will try to give him a chance sometimes. But yeah, at the moment, this is the defense that give us more certainty.
Yeah, sure. I think that, you have to keep Bastos in the team if he's going to perform at this level. It's the same kind of argument, I suppose, as Wallace at the start of the season had a really good game against Juventus and then kind of had a good run in the team after that as a result, because you've got to earn your place, but then it's hard to drop players after they do have good performances. And Bastos not only played to that level and played very well tonight, but don't forget played on the left side of the defence, which is a more unfamiliar position to him on Tuesday night, and was part of that defence that locked out Milan and made that such a frustrating night for them. So yeah, I've been really impressed with him since coming back from injury. And I don't know, I think that he almost is one of these guys who suits these big games more than he suits playing the smaller teams, because I think he really relishes these one-on-one battles, these physical battles with strong athletic players like himself. I don't think he enjoys it quite so much when it's about putting pressure on other teams, controlling possession, and kind of constructing attacks. And so I think that he's almost more of a big game player really than anything else in my mind. But
Alistair, Simone Inzaghi just spoke in the press conference and said that Marusic was pressing very high. What I was saying, he was marking Kolarov, and for this Lazio was defending with four defenders. So I presume he's saying that Lulic was playing on the line with Radu Acerbi and Bastos. To be honest, I didn't notice that, but Inzaghi is saying this. I noticed that, and I said it, that Lazio was pressing very high, and especially, pressing Kolarov and Florenzi, who played really poorly today. I thought it was one of the key, but I didn't notice Lazio playing with a four-man defense for that.
Well, I noticed that in times during the first half, but it's more off the ball, I suppose. It's one of these things you see it time and again, actually, during Lazio's games, just off the ball and on the ball, the formation changes, I suppose. And I did notice in the first half that off the ball at times Bastos was kind of shifting out to right back and Acerbi and Radu in the middle and Lulic left back. But I mean, I wouldn't say that was the system. I think that position took shape when Marusic was being encouraged to get forward and put pressure on that position, rather than that being the entire game. But I wouldn't say Lazio lined up with a back four tonight, but that was definitely, that's almost a nod, though, in my mind, to this, what we've talked about before, where Inzaghi's strength in the past was that he was capable of shifting between various tactical models during games in his first season. And it was more akin to that tonight, I suppose, the fact that you can see that happening during the game, that the defence is providing cover to allow them to put pressure on certain players. And there's obviously a lot of strategic thought has gone into these decisions. So, yeah, I mean, again, Roma offered almost nothing tonight going forward, and you have to say that Inzaghi's had a great game. He really has.
Yeah, I think we can say that Inzaghi destroyed Di Francesco on a tactic point of view. And this reminds me a little bit the second derby he had against Spalletti, probably in the Coppa Italia, where Lazio destroyed the Roma. I thought tactically Lazio was a better team tonight. Sometimes I feel that Roma players are over considered. They're not that good, but in the derby, in the last three derby, Lazio lost, so you cannot say that much. But overall, Lazio played so well today. So especially in the first half, it was a much better team, even with a very offensive tactic, because we had Milinkovic-Savic, Luis Alberto Correa, and Caicedo all playing together. So it was a risk, but in the end, it was very positive. Alistair, where is it? I lost. Rami Al-Gandhi saying, was Lazio playing well, or it's Roma that plays so badly?
Well, it doesn't always have to be one or the other. So, I think
Alistair, I don't know what's happening, but you are looking. I hear you far away. Even worse. Nope.
Why don't you talk for a bit?
Okay, yeah, don't worry. Well, Rami, I thought Lazio played really well today. Finally, Inzaghi prepared the match well and was able to stop to stop Roma. In particular, Zaniolo did a couple of things, but didn't shine. Sharawi said already. Kolarov was well marked. So I thought that Inzaghi prepared the match very well. 3G Lee, Bastos man of the match. Who would you have thought? Who would have thought that? Also, hello to Alistair. Okay. I don't know if Bastos is man of the match. Honestly, I would give it to Correa because he decided the match with his 2 acceleration. So I think probably he's the man of the match.
I would probably man of the match. This is cheating.
And other questions? Rami Al-Gandhi saying, didn't they concede 7 goals from Viola with Manolas playing? Yeah, well, no one's saying is that Manolas is it's Paolo Maldini, eh? But for sure he's the fastest defender they have, the fastest central defender, and today you could see every time that Correa was running with the ball, they were struggling. They couldn't stop him. Fazio is very slow, and Juan Jesus is, yeah, it's not fast as well, not fast as Correa. So yeah, it's strange because the funny thing is that Di Francesco said that that Manolas was fine, that he would have been cool, and he wasn't even on the bench. So I think he tried to trick Inzaghi, making him think that Manolas would have played. But yeah, and the other thing, I don't know if you agree, I thought that the third goal, the one of the goal of Cataldi, I thought Olsen was terrible. I thought another keeper would have stopped that. So again, we a lot of you complain about Strakosha performance. Oh, I thought today was great. But yeah, let's not remember that Roma is trying to fight for the Champions League spot with Olsen on goal. And I don't think he's a very good goalkeeper at all. So yeah, he made a lot of mistakes recently. Is Alistair McKenzie droning? No, I think he has a problem with his microphone. So now I mute him so you won't have all this terrible noise he's getting. Probably he celebrated too much after the derby, and that's why the microphone is like that. Yeah, no, Patrick, I don't know. I think it's the microphone. I don't know if the cable, something wrong with that. Anyway, there are some other quotes from Simone Inzaghi in the press conference. Well, obviously he said the players played really well. We our team was a little bit tired because we played Tuesday against Milan, and so the team was tired. But the derby was so important. We had to. We tried to prepare it perfectly. Alistair, you're back. Okay, now at least there is no noise, but I can not hear you. So when you have the chance, you jump in. Talking about Immobile, I think this is important because he said yesterday he didn't do very well in the training. He came to me and said that he was feeling pain in one of the legs. So we decided to give Caicedo a chance. This morning when we did the final training before the match, things went better. So I decided to keep him out, even if it wasn't very easy. But I thought Caicedo played well, but Immobile came in perfectly, and so we were perfect. It wasn't any trick or things like that. It's simply that Immobile wasn't able to play 90 minutes, and I thought Caicedo played well. Then what else did he say? He said that Milinkovic was really good today. I don't know how many times he was able to steal the ball from Roma player. He did a great match. Sometimes he missed the last pass, which is true, but he helped the team. And let's not forget that he had some injury problems against Empoli and Sevilla, so he wasn't 100% fit. But I hope that his condition will grow going further and he won't have any other injury. So yeah, this was Simone Inzaghi. I think we can say that he had. I think he had a very good. Inzaghi made the right choices today, and we often blame Inzaghi for his decision. But I think that we can say that today he have been really good and made the right decision, and why Lazio have won. So I think we have to give credit to Inzaghi for once. Alistair, are you back?
I hope so. Can you hear me now?
You're in a cage. What is it? In a cave, sorry. But at least it's not that bad.
Well, can you hear what I'm saying at all? I have no idea what's happened. My technology appears to have completely exploded for no apparent reason.
Yeah, we can hear you finally.
Good. Right. Well, well done. I was impressed to hear you managing to talk by yourself or so.
Yeah. I didn't know what to say. One thing, Alistair, I think our fans, our follower will love it. Radu making jokes of Kolarov. There is this picture of Radu laughing when Kolarov was sent out, and Kolarov then ran to him afterwards, and it was so funny. Radu really enjoyed it.
Radu just loves the derby, though, doesn't he? He's one of these guys that you really want to be on the pitch in a derby, because you can tell he just loves not only that he's going to give you everything, but that he likes all the kind of little games that go along with it. And I think that's not a bad thing. And I think Lulic is the same. It's nice to have a few players on the pitch who obviously enjoy the kind of gamesmanship and that side of things. So, but I mean, that was too much, though, wasn't it? I mean, the game was all right. I thought the game couldn't get any better, and then Kolarov gets a red card. It's just perfect. I mean, you couldn't have asked for any more, really.
Well, I have to say, I was thinking that Dzeko should have been sent off for the foul he made to Acerbi. That was really a hard foul, and normally a player gets sent off for that. Instead, the referee probably was scared to do it, but afterwards he couldn't avoid to give a second yellow card to Kolarov after what he did before. So yeah, I thought Dzeko should have been sent off, but yeah, it's fine. I mean, we know that it's funny because Lazio fans and Roma fans, they both hate Kolarov, so when he was sent off, everybody was booing.
I know. You have when he scored in the derby, the first derby of the season, he managed to get onside a bit with the Roma fans. But yeah, I mean, when he first signed, obviously he was immensely unpopular, and then he managed to get back on side a bit. But it's never really going to happen for him. I think it goes to show that it's quite hard to really. There's a reason so few players have ever played on both sides of the divide, and on top of that, he's quite an opinionated, hard-headed guy as it is. So. Yeah, he doesn't exactly make himself very likable, I don't think.
No, and I don't think he cares. So
No, not at all.
so yeah, and I don't want to say he's the typical modern football player who doesn't care about the fans. He just play football, but yeah, he's a little bit like that, right? Because. I prefer to see a player like Cataldi that you can see how happy he was after he scored, and that's what you want to hear, what to see from a player.
Yeah, I mean, I was so happy to see Cataldi score that goal, just because that in our squad there's no one that it would mean more to than to him. And I think it goes to show that he really does still have something to offer to this team, because it's been a tough season for him. He's been linked with move away in the summer, in January. It's been tough for him to get into the team with the competition he's got for places. But whenever he's come into the team, he's looked good, and he really has made an impact. And he said himself that all he can do really is train hard and wait for his chance. But it was another great example of that today, that you have to take your chances when they come, and he did. And don't get me wrong, I think Olsen should have done a lot better with the shot that he had, that he scored with. But I think as a Lazio fan, I mean, there's little that's better than seeing a born and bred Lazio fan who's in the team scoring in a derby and running under the Curva Nord. I mean, it really was. It was a great sight, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And it's funny, everybody was talking about Zaniolo, and then the Italian guy who scored is Cataldi. So, yeah, I thought Lazio played really well, and even Radu was able to cancel Zaniolo from the pitch. He had made 2 good chances, Zaniolo, but apart from that, he was pretty much invisible.
Yeah, and I think Radu deserves a lot of credit for that. He was really up against a big physical challenge today, Radu. He's obviously a lot older than Zaniolo, and Zaniolo is a very tricky player. We saw that at times in terms of the way that he can go past players. He's quite a deceptive player. But I thought Radu dealt with him really well tonight, and not only in the way that he kind of won the physical battle, but in that he wasn't. We talked already about the fact that he gets really up for these games and he really enjoys the derby histrionics and all that, but he didn't really let that get to him. I think it would be quite easy for him to get a bit too hot-headed about it. And that's one of the things I complimented first after the game when I went on social media, was to say that one of the things Lazio did that they had to do was keep their heads, and Radu did that tonight, and I think that was one of the reasons he got the better of Zaniolo, and Zaniolo couldn't really find any space on the pitch, and that's because he was attacking down the right where we had Lulic and Radu, the senatori of this team, just both having very solid defensive games.
Well, I think we all agree that every Lazio player today played pretty much well. So yeah, I think the defense was good, and as we said at the beginning, in the last 3 matches, well, no, except in the last 3 matches, Lazio didn't score, so that was a big concern. And in the last 4, except the Coppa Italia match, Lazio always allowed goals to other players. So yeah, it wasn't it wasn't easy to think about a 3-0, but you know, we have to say that Roma didn't create that much. So I thought it was a positive result. Said this, it's really important that we don't forget that the race for the Champions League is still going on, and this result keep Lazio alive. I think losing today would have cut Lazio from any chance of still fighting for the Champions League. But we have to say that the gap is still big. You know, Milan is 48 points now, while Lazio is 41. Lazio has a match to play still, so match in hand, and Inter is 47, and Inter now is fourth. So we're talking about 6 points, with Lazio have still to play against Udinese. So if the win is going to be 4 points, so there's still a big gap, Alistair. I think this match is really important on the mental side, because you know, beating Roma like this could give a big boost to the team, but the Champions League race is still very tough for Lazio.
It is still going to be tough, don't get me wrong, and it's still, I think it's still Lazio are the underdogs to take one of those places. But one of the other things to consider is that we're now in a situation where there are 2 places up for grabs. I mean, Lazio are realistically capable of getting into 3rd or 4th position now, thanks to Inter's collapse. So there was a long time this season that it looked like the first 3 positions would be nailed down, and that we'd all be scrapping for this 4th place spot. So it's really promising that Inter have collapsed in the way they have. It's going to take a lot from Lazio, don't get me wrong, but if you look at it and think that if we can manage to beat Udinese in that game in hand, then you're 3 or 4 points away from those places. And don't forget, Lazio have already played Juve and Napoli and now Roma. So the Milan derby is coming up quite soon. So one of those teams is going to drop more points. And then don't forget that those teams still have to play between them, Juve and Napoli as well. So, yeah, I think that the fixture list, the schedule, favours Lazio over the other teams, but obviously there is a deficit to make up. So we'll have to see how it goes. I think in order for Lazio to qualify for the Champions League, in my opinion, I think we need to suddenly right now, hit the form that we were in at our best points of last season and take that form through to the very end of the season. I think that's what we'll need in order to stand a chance. But you know, tonight has given us something very good to build on, so maybe it's possible. Who knows?
Yeah, and there's a very important match against Fiorentina coming on. So you know, that's going to be another very complicated match, a very important test. So it's going to be interesting to see how Lazio respond, especially after a derby like that. The good thing is we didn't get red cards. I was reading yesterday, I think, that the Roma derby often finish with players sent off. It didn't. I mean, today there was Kolarov. Luckily, there wasn't any Lazio player, so we should have the full squad against Fiorentina. That it's a tough match. Do you think the result of this derby will have a bad effect on Roma, or they will be able to recover and go in the next matches?
Well, I think that Roma are a funny club this season. I mean, they've really gone through highs and lows, and well, to be honest, the highs have never been particularly high, but they have managed to go through good periods of results, and they do have a good squad. That are capable of of putting together good runs, but I think, in my mind anyway, a lot of it depends on what happens in this Champions League tie this week against Porto, because for them to get through that tie against Porto, which they won the first leg 2-1, so they're in a decent position to get through it. I think that after the emotions they went through last year of getting to the semi-finals, they would give everything to try and repeat that, or try and have a similar kind of experiencing the competition again, and it'll be up to who they get in the quarterfinals. But we don't have that distraction now, and I think a lot of us would like to still be in Europe, but that is definitely a bonus for the Champions League race, is that now all we have on the calendar is Serie A up until, the end of April, when we've finally got that second leg. So Roma have at least got that distraction coming up, and also have a few difficult games in the league coming up. The end of March, they're going to be playing Napoli. So, I think that hopefully that can prove to be a distraction for them, because they don't have that big a squad. The first 11 is pretty set with Di Francesco. He doesn't rotate an awful lot. So I really hope that it proves to be a bit too much for them. Let's see.
Yep. When I was speaking for 10 minutes all alone, I said that for me, Correa was man of the match. Do you agree with me?
Correa, well, yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one to say today because there's so many candidates, I suppose. I mean, for me, I'd say Inzaghi is man of the match. I mean, that's kind of cheating because he's not a player, but I think he managed the team perfectly tonight. I think it's one of the better games he's had on the bench of Lazio, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, Correa is definitely a worthy contender. Bastos is a worthy contender if we're talking about guys who are playing above their level. I think Lulic also had a really good game. Caicedo had a good game. Milinkovic had a good game. I mean, where do you stop, really? I don't know. I feel like today is not a day I really want to pick out a man of the match, because I think it was a real team performance, and I'm really happy with almost every element of the team today, and I can't remember ever being in a position this season where I've been able to say that.
Fair enough. Before wrapping it up, Lazio page just tweeted, Lazio didn't win. Last time Lazio won was 7th February. Lazio didn't score more than one goal in a match since 26th of December, 7 matches ago. And Lazio didn't win with 3 goals or more in Serie A since 4th of November. So it was a long time ago. Alistair, I hope you're going to fix the problem with the microphone for next episode. But I thank you for joining me. And, finally, first derby we win with Lazio Lounge going on. So we finally made it.
Yeah, first of many, hopefully.
We have to hope that. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare. Thanks, everybody, for listening today, even with a little problem we had. Remember, you can reach us on Twitter, on Facebook, subscribe on Spreaker and iTunes. And if you want to support us, there's our Patreon page. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the night. I believe you will do. Thanks.